I read the screenplay by David Koepp and Martin Donovan, and I thought it was really incredibly funny. It had all the elements that you'd want to put into a movie. It had great characters, outrageously dark characters, and I thought it was a very amusing dark comedy. It grew out of the characters. You know, the characters were obsessed with beauty and glamour and gaudiness. We wanted the movie to evoke that.
These are the moments that make life worth living.
When Death Becomes Her came along, you could read it one way, or you could read it through the kind of mindset that Bob would bring to it. And he has a kind of a wicked sense of humor, and in this case, he really let it out, because I think something...
And had no money, and I was always kind of fascinated and revolted by Beverly Hills, which I just found to be just an alien landscape, you know, filled with strange people who did strange things to their bodies. Originally, the idea was 4 stories in an apartment building, which was like the one I lived in at the time, and in each one something horrific is going on.
This was David Koepp's, really his first time out of the gate. I mean, and obviously he's gone on to prove to be an incredible writer. And you know, and those guys were a lot of fun because he hadn't been around a set much either. So actually during shooting, they were revising the screenplay, but David and Martin, and particularly David, would hang around the set just to be around shooting this movie.
We'll be so happy.
I was working at Universal after just having done Apartment Zero and Bad Influence, and Casey Silver, who was the president of production there at the time and had brought me in, said, "You got anything else?" And I said, "Well, actually, I have this, you know, I have this thing on my shelf. Take a look at it." And we had sent it around a little before, but it was so weird that, you know, nobody bought it. And Casey thought it was funny, and so they bought that as part of my deal. And then Martin and I rewrote it for Universal.
Working with Bob Zemeckis was always an adventure. The kinds of projects he did were not your conventional sort of movies, stories, any of that. And so when I got a phone call from him and said he had this very sort of off-center movie, I knew that with the budget that and the quality of the cast and all of that, that the sets and the locations were going to be definitely elevated to very classy style.
Because I grew up around Hollywood, I never thought that I would be able to, at least, I'm not saying bite the hand that feeds me, but to kind of like just snap at it a little bit. And I think that movie feels like it's an opportunity that I had to be kind of luxuriously...
Characters were big, you know, that they were really on the edge of believability. Ernest isn't just, you know, sort of henpecked and sort of alcoholic. He's horribly alcoholic and horribly dominated. And Madeline isn't just, you know, a nasty person. She's Cruella de Vil. So
I remember the first day Meryl Streep shot on that set, and her first lines were, "Ernest!" and the whole place just filled with her ego. And it was there she was. The set had come alive, because I was a little bit concerned, had I made it all too big, that could any personality fill that?
An actress or a character who has sort of this Mediterranean feel. You can't really place where she's from, and she's very exotic. And Isabella kind of was really the iconic person that embodied this characteristics.
The character that she was playing and had that great strange accent, which you don't quite know what it is. It's a combination of French and Italian, and you know, and then she put sort of that kind of put a little German in there, and it just became this sort of otherworldly, magnificently, breathtakingly beautiful character.
It's a Frankenstein story. You know, you can't mess with nature. Human beings are meant to live and die in a certain way, and when we stretch that, or we cheat it, or we try to come up with a magic potion, nature's going to come around and the law of unintended consequences will get you. Something horrible will happen. So they became, at the end of the movie, like the people you see walking around now who've had the ridiculous extensive amounts of plastic surgery done that think it looks okay, but it doesn't. It's unnatural. So don't be unnatural, I guess, was our moral. But if you can, make it funny.